Okay, conversation with Hayley today. Hayley Campbell, is that correctly said? Because I'm not
Yeah, that's
native.
correct.
That's correct. Yeah, is the team lead of the engineering team at EventStore, and yeah, she's going to talk about her work and some other stuff. So you're team lead for like few months, and actually you fulfilled that role before without having the before having the official title, and that's quite cool because the reactions were like, oh, well deserved and so on. And my initial reaction was actually, oh, she was doing that before, as far as I saw, and she only got the title now, and that's kind of strange. How did that come to?
Well, so uh, James originally approached me and said that he was thinking of moving me into a team lead position, but it's not really something that I was super comfortable with doing starting off because I mean I've only ever really been a dev before that. So he said, okay, well we can train you up to the position, and if we're happy with it, and if you're happy with it, we'll give you the title. And so that's kind of what happened. I was sort of fulfilling the role, and then after a few months, Jim was like, "Okay, cool. I'm happy to
Yeah,
keep you here. Are you happy to keep doing it?"
yeah,
And I said, "Yeah."
yeah. That's and just for the record, the team is about 10 people, and yeah, it showed. I joined the team before you got the title, not so long. The team, I mean the company, and it was quite nice to see people doing the job and getting rewarded by, for it. That's kind of this how this company works, I think. Uh,
Yeah.
and how long have you actually been in at Event Store?
So I've been at EventStore twice. The first time was for about 2.5 years from 2016. Um, then I took a bit of a break and rejoined in, I think it was 2018 or 2019. I'm not quite sure. um, but yeah, I rejoined and I'm going on probably I think about 3 years again this year.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And is there any difference between those two eras, or I mean, has the company evolved?
Yeah, there was the sort of first era was a lot more relaxed and small. There were very few of us, so and we basically we didn't really have that much of a direction to go. So we were
Mhm,
just making things up and going, okay, well, people have been asking about this or complaining about this, or this looks like a cool thing to add. Let's go and do it.
mm,
Yeah, the releases were sort of, oh, cool, we've got enough stuff. Let's do a release.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, it was a lot more self-managing with the small team we had.
yep.
And pretty much everyone did anything and everything from documentation to blog posts to Twitter posts. um, and yeah, this second time we've got a lot more people. We've got a much bigger team. There's more people to rely on,
Mhm,
which is great. And while we now have like proper roles, I still feel like we've got the ability to, a developer can make suggestions for documentation or write it themselves. Um, yeah, we uh, I think we're growing and we're moving in the right direction, and it's really a good place to work at the moment.
yeah. I do agree. I've not been here so long, and it's quite enjoyable because it's not too big that you don't have any that it's hard to have the big picture overview and know everyone. So that's about the right size to jump in actually, and still being able to know a bit of everything and everywhere. And interesting when when the team was small, I guess everybody doing everything means from sales to support.
Well, we did have Dan doing a lot of the sales,
Yeah.
so uh, yeah, having developers doing sales is probably not the best of ideas. um,
Or
but
pre-sales or helping with technical questions probably. And
yeah,
yeah,
he did help with that.
yeah, then is we need to say who Dan is. Is yeah, the sales manager has been involved in events for since the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
So he knows, and he takes on that role. Um, so what I've noticed in the daily stand-up we have is like you right now have this dual role of keeping you're still involved in support actually, so that's quite interesting because there's a lot of people who don't like doing support.
Yeah, I still help out with the support. It's a good way to know how people are using our product, and to learn how our customers are wanting EventStore to go and what issues they're running into.
Mhm,
So it can help you figure out what actually needs to be done from the customer, the developers for our customers. It's also just a good way to get to know the inner workings of EventStore, because in order to figure out what's going on, you sometimes have to go and dig about in logs or the code. Um, yeah, and we're still building our support team, so
mhm.
they need a bit more help than they hopefully will in the future.
Yeah. Well, well, as while we were preparing this a bit conversation a bit, I was saying that in my old team, we also have like this changing rotation. So it was a team of 6, 7 people, and we rotated every day to do support. And the thing is, uh, in my case, it's line of business, and product is probably a bit different. Is when you take shortcuts or do stuff that are not really to the point, then you all immediately get feedback, and negative feedback most of the time, in the number of tickets coming in about stuff that needs to be corrected. And I think it's a good thing that actually most of the engineering team does help in some way in support.
Yeah, they do. Whether it's just helping with technical questions or actually doing support tickets,
Mm-mm,
it does make you a lot more sympathetic to making certain breaking changes and how a customer might react to it.
mm-mm.
Um, yeah, it makes as you said, it makes you face your own consequences.
Yeah, or lack of documentation or good directions and so on, which makes me think that when I look at I've been using EventStore since version 3 or something, and if I remember correctly, when I was thinking about using it, it was version 2, and then 1 month or 2 months later, boom, version 3 came out. And I think if we look at the history, version 1 was quite some time before version 2, and there's been a change of directions there and in the release strategy that we have.
Between like version 5 now
Yeah,
and version 20.
yeah.
Yeah, so we've decided to, well, previously our release cadence was basically we would gather up some changes, and if we needed to do a breaking change, we would bump the major version, or once we got enough changes together, we would do a release.
Mm,
And that is a great way to work, but we can't really give our customers any guarantees about when a version will be supported, when it'll go out of support, that sort of thing. So we've recently changed our release strategy to year-month cadence. Um, So the first 2 releases of the year will be our sort of interim releases, only supported for a short period of time. And that gives us the ability to sort of iron out any issues, experiment with new features, and sort of harden it for an LTS release at the end of the year. Um, Another big benefit of that is, like we've seen with the jump from version 5 to version 20, there's been quite a few breaking changes, and only now have we been able to come up with some clients that will ease the upgrade path and make it better. And we have seen in the past that we can release a version that's got breaking changes and then release something that sort of helps that upgrade process, but we can't do it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully having some time to sort of let the releases marinate before the long-term release, we've got some time to get that sort of stuff in.
Yeah.
Um,
And the kind of breaking change we introduce, is that in interim releases or LTS only?
so the breaking change in V20 is the security and the changes to replication. Um, but the way we're going to work going forward is LTS releases will always be upgradable to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there shouldn't be breaking changes between those two. Um, but sort of interim releases can have breaking changes. There's no guarantee there.
Yeah.
Um, but by the time it gets to an LTS, the breaking change should no longer be breaking from the previous version
Yeah.
or from
Okay.
the previous LTS.
Yeah. For the thing, so we have releases like in February, then March, April, May, June, and then October.
Yeah,
Yeah, and October would be the major really a long-term support release, and that's for 2 years, something like that.
yeah, it'll be supported for 2 years from its release date,
Yeah,
so
and
24
and
months.
and then for the interim releases, it's more like for up to the next release, be it an
Yeah,
interim or being an LTS. And do we do still do and the thing is, we do patch between certain supported releases.
yeah. So we'll patch long-term support releases, but we won't patch interim release. Um, so if there is a fix on an interim release, just it's sort of expected to use the nightly instead,
Hmm.
because the interim release is sort of the uh, not experimental, but it's not what we would recommend running in production unless you absolutely need a feature that's brand new.
Yeah. Um, since we're talking about the 21, we're in 21 releases.
Yeah,
I guess the major one for me would be the subscription to dollar all to the all stream. That's going to be really cool to help people. But that's going to go into probably next releases, so 21.6.
yeah,
And we'll stabilize it on this one, and then it would go into LTS and be officially supported forever, and well,
yeah,
until we find something better. Yeah,
yeah,
and are there benefits for the team to that release cadence? Because I guess before it was like, okay, there was like probably some scratching heads, and okay, we have like all those ideas and all those features. Okay, let's put out a release, and it probably was quite some hell to get everything ready and test it correctly and do some regression testing and that kind of stuff. And I guess the new release cadence kind of changes that.
yeah. So one of the things is we're trying to prevent some last minute like, oh yeah, we should really just get this in. It's just a small thing. um, because if we have an idea of what's going into the release beforehand, we can't start shifting things around without actually dropping things out and actually planning ahead. Um, we're also working on improving our QA process. So we want to get a lot more automated integration tests and regression tests because it's been getting much better, but the sort of first era, all the QA and stuff like that was done with manual testing and unit tests. So we're busy moving towards everything being automated. And as we find any sort of regression, we'll add that to the testing. Um, and we actually want to build the improvement in our QA process into our release cadence. So once we've got a release sort of set up before the release month, we want to try and get all the features in early and then spend the rest of the time doing small bug fixes, QA, and improve our process to make the next release even easier.
Ah, yeah. Okay. So there's what, 4 months between releases,
Yeah,
and so it gives a few weeks to make sure everything is ironed out. So we don't push features in because um, I guess that's important. Not pushing features in that are not fully tested and not fully understood what the impact is on the product. So no rush. That's something I noticed. I think last time there was one feature was almost ready, and it was like, no, we don't put it in because it's not ready fully. I don't know
yeah,
which one, but I remember something like that. And I find it cool because that's kind of important for customers that they can rely on what's being put out.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and and that's on the main product, the database engine itself. But we have all our clients and so on. So I guess there's some do they follow the same cadence, or how does that work?
So the clients are they're loosely based on the same cadence, but it's more that sort of shortly after the server release, we expect to also do the releases of the various gRPC clients and TCP clients as they implement whatever's needed to support new features in the server release. So as an example, the persistent subscription to all, we'll be releasing the .NET gRPC client with that feature probably around about the same time as the server release. But the other gRPC clients might lag behind a bit, depending on availability of devs for working on those features before the release goes out.
Yeah, we're talking about gRPC. That's a good one because that's a big change actually in the
Hello?
in the. Yeah, do you hear me? You? Yeah, I
Hello?
lost you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
lost you for
I
a
lost
moment.
you.
Yeah, okay. The yeah, my connection is unstable. Um, the gRPC stuff is uh, API is quite a big change for us. Um, and do we already have like this? There's one thing I wonder there is we specify the gRPC client. We have some official clients, but we also have some people working on their own clients, where we do give some help, but those are, I mean, we have all supported, like the Java one, the .NET one, the Rust. I think we have Haskell,
Node.js uh,
Node.js,
and
Haskell.
Haskell, yeah.
Yeah, and probably, and then what's cool is that other people are, I mean, outside of the company are building clients as well. We have the Ruby one that's been released not so long ago, I think, and that's also a big change in the product, being able to support almost any stack. Um, so how are we making sure that all clients do comply with features and so on? I mean, in the QA process.
So we're working on sort of a standardized way of testing the clients so that basically you make sure that the client can do all of these things, expect all of these outputs, and if you can support all of that, then the client should be good. Um, so yeah, we're basically just working on a suite of tests that can exercise each of them in the same way and expect the same results.
Yeah. The difficulty being it's those test suite is going to be a spec probably, because I mean we can't write the test for each and every type of stack. So we can write a test for the clients we support, but I guess for the rest it's going to be like, okay, this is the expected behavior. So kind of an RFC kind of stuff. And we use RFCs internally. That's also a big change, I think.
Yeah, that's I would say fairly recent, but we sort of started with it last year.
Mhm.
But we're still sort of ironing out some issues with the process. But yeah, we're trying to move to an RFC system for getting ideas and large changes in for clients and basically a way to sort of standardize, especially across the gRPC clients. So you
Yep.
can create an RFC and say, okay, this is how a connection string should work
Yep.
and detail it there. And then all our internal official clients should match up with that RFC.
Yep. So that helps also. That could help for people building their own clients on top of the gRPC protocol then.
Yeah, yeah. I think it probably would be quite useful to, if not release the RFCs, then release just a doc of this is what we expect. um,
Yeah. The, the,
but we
the,
don't have one of those just yet.
yeah. We should work on that. That's important. Actually, someone is working on it, I think. Um, uh, yeah. So that's a release process. Now, your role as a team lead. What does that entail? What's the work behind that?
Uh, so at the moment, it's running stand-ups in the morning, making sure that everyone's working towards the same goal or uh, a goal that brings us closer to completing a release or experimenting with new stuff that we're wanting to potentially get in. And apart from that, it's a bit of everything, making sure that everyone can do their jobs, maybe a bit of code reviews, some support.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah,
so getting impediment out of people's way.
yeah, yeah. That's most of what I try to do.
Yeah, that's good. And you still have time to code then.
Yeah, I get a little bit of time, maybe end of each day, just to sit down and do a bit of code.
Yeah, and I mean, do you dedicate in time for it, or it's just, oh, I have time, I'm doing something, or how do you go about that? Because I mean, I've known quite a few people who got some kind of team lead or kind of management role, or where coding is less involved, but they still want to code. And I've fallen into the trap myself of saying, okay, I'm going to do that. I see something in the backlog, and I'm going to do that. And then 3 weeks later, it's not done because I've been involved into too many meetings. So I mean, how do you not fall into that trap?
I think at the moment I'm quite lucky that I'm not yet pulled into a whole lot of meetings.
Hmm.
uh, so I do get a bit more time back from that.
Hmm.
But I generally try and sort of figure out what I'm going to be doing throughout the day, write it all down and figure out what I can fit in. And if there's like a little bit of time left, I'll find something that's necessary but small enough to get done within an hour or so, and work on that. Uh, I don't know that I could do like a massive feature all in one go or something like that, but little fixes or improvements here and there.
Yeah, that's cool. And I guess also the reviews and so on do take a lot of time. So you're not involved in a lot of meetings. That's quite interesting. I would have thought you that would be the case. So um, because I mean the product direction and product ideas, are you involved in that, or do you are you able to give some inputs there? What kind of inputs do you give?
So I'm not so involved in deciding what's going into the next release,
Hmm.
but I am involved in sort of getting everything planned and sorted for it. So I'll have a lot of meetings sort of building up to a release cycle
Hmm.
when we're trying to figure out, okay, cool, we want this and we want that, and what more information do we need on these issues? Because yeah, I'll spend quite a bit of time sort of trying to figure out the backlog and that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so I'd say my input in the releases is sort of bringing attention to anything that we missed in the last release, or something that customers are bringing up a lot, or something new on GitHub.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the major features are more up to the product team
Hmm.
deciding where we're going.
Yeah. But uh, I guess I'm not sure what I wanted to say now. The I mean it's yeah, I know. It's you just said something. It's like, what did we miss in the last release in the process? So it's improving the process, actually, part of the job.
Yeah, it's also so what came out of QA is another thing. If there were any issues that we found that weren't showstoppers or have been there for a long time, um, those types of things also need to be brought up and sort of decided, okay, are we going to actually spend the time to fix this, or is this something that's going to go away by itself, or uh, only affect a very, very specific circumstance that no one's actually using?
Hmm.
Um, but also issues that we wanted in the last release and didn't get in, didn't have time to work on them, that sort of stuff.
There's
Um,
so all the planning stuff and making sure there is progress. Yeah, that's cool, actually. That's a nice job. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. But that's a nice job. And I must say, if I look at the team from an external point of view, what's really cool in here is that everybody is quite is quite is quite um, professional, in the sense of, if something comes up, they will offer help. That's something I notice also in that team. They will
yeah,
give idea, they will offer help, they will uh, uh, pick up what's needed to do, while
yeah,
on an everyday basis, while still having like this goal of, okay, we need a release, so this feature that needs to be completed. Uh, so that's a nice thing. I think
yeah.
we
We've
are.
got some really good devs.
Yeah, it's a really great team. I must say that's a quite. I'm. It's not surprising somehow, but it's surprising that it is like that. Uh, while not being surprising, I'm not being really. Uh, I don't know how to say that, but I mean that's a great company. There's real some. I mean, if you get ideas or something, they will get recorded somewhere, and something will happen to it. So that's probably why you like this company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a bit of input, but also, yeah, I think possibly also why I'm not bogged down with meetings is the team doesn't need that much management because everyone's motivated by themselves. They want to do the work. They want to do good work. So oftentimes you can just say, "Hey, we need to get this done," and you can be sure that it'll be done. Um, you don't have to like micromanage or follow anyone and be like, "Hey, you should be working on this. What are you doing?"
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I noticed as well. Uh, and it's actually surprising for me because I mean there are really good people in there that are really smart, and what I've noticed is smart people are most of the time opinionated as well, and this doesn't. I mean, there are opinions, but there's still ways to find consensus and going forward. It's not like, oh, I have this idea and this needs to be done like this, and I won't change my mind. And so that's uh, it's remarkable actually in this company.
Yeah, I think everyone has an opinion, but they're respectful about it.
Yeah,
Is the way I see it.
yeah, that's the way I see it, and people are respectful of each other as well. So that's quite yeah. I guess it facilitates a lot of stuff then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I think we are about the end of the time we had allocated. So that was cool. The release stuff is quite interesting. We should probably write something about that more to explain the why. Um, uh,
Yeah.
and but that's another thing. Writing stuff is difficult. It's easier to have conversations. So thank you a lot, Hayley, for taking the time to talk to me. And I guess I'll see you in stand up in an hour or two.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.